Hi, welcome to this week's video. My name is Paul. So this week we're going to be doing some loose watercolor landscape painting. You can see an example of the type of painting I'm going to talk about on screen. It's very loose, sort of inspired by Impressionism and Post-Impressionism and a few other things as well. Start off, you can see the piece of paper. It's not very big. You can see my hand and arm there. I have normal sized hands, I guess. So it's quite a small piece of paper. And you can see maybe on the screen it's damp. It's wet in places. I use a little spray bottle, or you can use the brush, a clean brush, whatever it is, just to dampen parts of the paper with clean water. The water, it's... So if you put watercolor paint onto dry paper, generally speaking, you'll get harder edges. On the other hand, if you put wet paint onto wet paper, again, generally speaking, you'll get softer edges. So learning to control these things, that's part of the process of learning to paint with watercolor. How much water do you have in the brush? How much water is on the paper? Those things. And you get that through experience, trial, error, experimentation. By all means, copy other people or learn from other people, but try and develop your own way of painting. So experiment, have an open mind, expect to fail many, many times, and just keep trying. But edges are a big thing in watercolor painting. Another important thing is the composition. So I tend to use simple compositions. I don't paint from photographic references. I just use imagination and memory. The top, you can see a row of 3 paintings, all done in this style. If we take one of those paintings, the top left one, and look at that, at the bottom I have sort of simplified it, and I show you the main shapes. So we have a sky, we have a hill in the distance, there's sort of horizon line with some bushes and trees in front of that, and then the foreground. The foreground has some vertical brush marks, and the rest of the painting is mostly horizontal or horizontal-ish brush marks. But the main thing is I focus on the big shapes rather than the little details. Once you start getting obsessed with fussy little details, everything tightens up and you slow down the painting process, and you lose that spontaneity, you lose the looseness. So if the looseness is what you're going for, try and avoid those fussy little details until near the end of the painting. Okay, so we've done the sky, and you also saw me using some tissue paper, Kleenex, whatever you want to call it, to lift off some of that blue paint while it was still wet. It creates a feeling maybe of white clouds against the blue sky. And again, I didn't cover the entire paper with blue paint. There's just a little bit. I'm leaving lots of white paper as well. And they can be read as clouds in the sky. It is, as I said, inspired by Impressionism rather than naturalism or realism. So I'm trying to create an impression, a feeling, capturing the essence of the landscape rather than all the gory details and the fine details and stuff. In terms of colors, again, it's not naturalism, it's not realism, so whatever colors you want. I like bright colors. I like fluorescent greens and things, and bright cadmium yellow. Other people will prefer more muted colors. It's personal choice, I think. I don't really go for this idea that there are rules and you have to follow the rules. I do use a sort of analogous color scheme, so it's mostly blues and yellows and greens, and some of the greens are just where the blue and yellow is mixed, and some of that mixing happens on the paper. But anyway, that sort of analogous color scheme, using colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, gives a more harmonious and therefore a more peaceful looking final painting. If you're using more complementary colors, you get a bit more clashing of colors and you lose that feeling of peaceful, harmonious composition a little bit, which is not a bad thing if that's what you're going for. If you're going for a more dramatic landscape, then complementary colors can work better. But if you're going for something peaceful, quiet, relaxing, maybe the analogous color scheme works better. Let's say no rules, just approach it the way a child approaches these things. Just have fun, experiment, play around, see what happens. Don't expect to achieve the results that you're looking for after a painting or 2 paintings or 200 paintings. It might take 2,000 paintings to get where you're trying to go to. If you look at a lot of artists from the past, you look at their early paintings and their later paintings, you can see their style was constantly evolving. Even when they became quite successful and had success with a particular style, they didn't stop there very often. They kept evolving and changing. So it's a process rather than arriving at a destination, maybe. This idea of creating a style. Anyway, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching and listening. By all means, try watercolor. It is an amazing medium to try. It does take a bit of time and a bit of practice, and you have to get used to using the watercolor. It's quite different from oil paint and acrylic, of course. So it just takes time to get the results that you're looking for. Anyway, let's say if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching and listening. Hopefully see you again in next week's video.